This video will be about connecting your HandiFox Online company with the metric regulatory system for cannabis products. There are a couple of unobvious moments in this process, so let's go through it together step by step, and by the end of this video you will know everything you need to know to set up the same integration in your own company. You can start this process by going to Integrations, All Add-ons, and clicking the Connect button near the metric logo. First, you will need to go to your metric account and generate a new user API key, which HandiFox will use to talk to the metric system. Once you have that key, you can choose your state on the next screen and put your key in this field. I already have my key in the clipboard, so I'm just going to paste it here. Now you can click Next. It's going to connect to metric, as you can see, and read some initial data from it so it can display it here on the next screen. And this screen contains multiple sections with the initial integration settings, which you need to either fill in or review. So let's start from the top. Here you can see it says mapping inventory sites and facilities, and what we need to do here is to choose a HandiFox inventory site for every metric facility that you have in your system. The columns here are license numbers, and then the facilities that just read from the metric system. And in this column, we need to choose a site for every facility that exists in your metric account. And each facility can correspond to only one site, and vice versa. So there should be a one-to-one correspondence between them. And you can use your existing HandiFox sites that you had before at this point. You can create an entirely new set of sites to be used independently only for this purpose. And if you haven't created them, you can create them right here by clicking Add New. I also haven't created any sites in advance, so I'm going to do it now. Okay, and now I just need to choose all these sites that I've just created. Okay, now this last column with the checkboxes is to mark the default license for every site. In my case, there is exactly one license per site, and each license covers only one site. So I'm just going to put in all the checkboxes. And if, for example, if you have a license that covers multiple facilities, let's say these first three are covered by one license and the default facility is the one in the middle, then your checkboxes will have to look something like this. Alright, everything appears to be in order here, so let's move to the next section. So here, this section defines how HandiFox will handle the products that came in from the metric system. So the first field defines a prefix for the products that for which a product with the same exact name happens to exist in HandiFox. This situation is not likely, but it has to do something if it happens. So it'll just add this prefix to the name, so the names are different for the two products. And here you can define the default asset account, income account, and expense account with which all the new items from the metric system will be created on the HandiFox end. The next section, as you can probably tell, defines whether HandiFox will try to download any older transactions from metric, that is, transactions that were created before you set up this integration. However, as of right now, HandiFox does not download any transactions from metric anyway, so these settings are disabled, and they are just here as a placeholder to be used in the future as the functionality develops. So if you are watching from the future and see that these settings are active for you, well, you know what they're for. And the same goes for the next section of the settings, which sets which transaction types should correspond to which when exchanging transactions between HandiFox and Metric, and these are also disabled for now, but that may change by the moment you watch this video. So normally you don't need to change anything in these remaining sections. The defaults are pretty reasonable. The only section you need to worry about is this first one. And so when you're done with this screen, with the settings, click Save, and it will start reading all the data from your Metric account and adding it to HandiFox. You can see the log of events here. In the background, we see this progress bar, and in the background we see the Metric panel, which logs all the synchronization events, what was read from the Metric system, what was added to it from HandiFox. And when it's done, we are left in this panel, and we can see the synchronization log here. And this log is useful if there is any problem with the data. You can check this log for any warnings or errors and try to look for clues as to what is happening. And you can get back to this panel anytime by going into integrations, all add-ons, and you can notice there's no longer a connect button. There's the panel link, which gets you back here. And from this panel you can also go back into the integration settings with the Metric system, although many of them will no longer be editable. For example, this site to facility correspondence is permanent, and it cannot be changed after it's been set up. In many respects, cannabis products that were downloaded from Metric look and behave the same as normal items that were created inside HandiFox or came from QuickBooks or Shopify. You can view and edit their properties. You can track their quantity on hand on different sites. You can do inventory counts. However, you cannot include such items on any sales or purchase transactions, and there are also some other important differences. For example, in the item list, if you go to view or edit an item's properties, you can see there's a whole new block of properties related specifically to Metric, and you also cannot do ad hoc inventory adjustments, ad hoc quantity adjustments for such products. And in terms of inventory tracking, all products that came from Metric are automatically set to be tracked by lot numbers, and their Metric package number is used as their lot number in HandiFox. So here you can see they work like normal items that were set to be tracked by lot numbers. The only exception is that you cannot edit the lot numbers, the quantity for each lot number, and the lot numbers you have on hand inside HandiFox, because that has regulatory significance in this case and has to be done inside Metric. Whenever you start a new inventory count in HandiFox, you will now have a choice whether it will be a regular counting session or a counting session specifically for cannabis products. And these two categories of items, that is cannabis products and everything else, cannot intermix in the same counting session. On cannabis counting sessions, you can include only cannabis products, and on regular sessions, only regular products. The counting session itself also looks differently. You have to select a site where you will count items in advance, and then the list of items does not have one product per line as you would expect with a regular counting session. Instead, there is one line per package, and everything is already included on the session from the start. Whenever there is a difference in quantity between the current quantity and the new quantity you have counted, you can specify an adjustment reason, and you can also put in a note that goes into more details as to why the quantity is changing. And whenever the quantity is reduced all the way to 0, you can mark the package as finished. And when you're done with your counting session, you can apply it. That is to say, finalize it and commit these results, these new counts, to the system. And just like with regular counts, that may go directly to the system or be submitted for manager approval. And that manager approval can be turned off in the settings by the owner or a privileged user of HandiFox. And this is everything I wanted to cover today. So hopefully this video was helpful and you will now have an easier time setting up this integration in your own company.